welcome back to Onyx Recap. Today we will talk about the movie Voyagers released in 2021. But before starting that, the movie is about a group of people in the future who are searching for a new planet to live on because Earth is dying. They find a planet that they can colonize, but the journey there will take 86 years. The crew will have to reproduce on the ship, and the third generation will be the ones to reach the new planet. The crew is genetically engineered by combining the genes of leading scientists. The crew consists of children who were raised and trained solely for this purpose. Richard, one of the people in charge, is worried that the young crew may not be fully equipped to deal with the complexity of space travel. He visits the facility where the child crew is being raised and checks on their progress, and he comforts them before tucking them into bed. The next day, Richard talks to a woman who is in charge of the mission. 10 years later, the children have grown up and are going about their day on the ship. They are taught about fertilization for the next generation and are seen drinking a blue liquid. Christopher and Zach listen to classical music while Sela walks around the ship. Richard shows Sela pictures of his grandparents and explains how important it is to provide for the future. Christopher can't sleep, and later, he and Richard discover that the water in the hydroponics bay is toxic. Christopher and Zach discover that the blue liquid they drink has a chemical called T56J that affects their personality and makes them dull and docile. They realize that they're being drugged so they won't reproduce naturally and overpopulate the ship. Christopher tells Richard that he knows he's been lying to them about the unmarked compartment Pod 23. But Richard says that the mission must have lied to them for a reason, and that the pod might be for the third generation. In the meantime, Christopher has a fantasy about Stella, and he and Zach start to feel the effects of not taking the drug. They hear strange noises on the ship and talk to a crew member who thinks it might be an alien life form. Meanwhile, Richard shows Stella dried plants from Earth, and Zach becomes jealous when he sees Richard touching her shoulder. The crew loses communication with Earth, and Richard tells them that they need to fix the transmitter. Zach goes with him while the others continue their work. While Zach is with Chella, he behaves inappropriately, and Richard intervenes. Later, Richard discovers that both Zach and Christopher have stopped taking the blue liquid, which was meant to prevent certain types of behavior. Richard asks Christopher to help him fix the transmitter and support him when he raises concerns with mission control. All crew members are in their positions while preparations for a spacewalk are being made. Richard and Christopher go outside the ship, and Christopher experiences unusual sensations. Richard and Christopher are fixing the ship's transmitter, but suddenly something appears on the screen and hurts Richard, causing the ship to malfunction. They rush him to medical, but the medical team is unable to revive him and pronounce him dead. The crew has a meeting to discuss what happened and speculate that it might be an alien force that caused Richard's death. Phoebe starts crying, and Christopher tries to comfort them by saying that they need to stay together. The crew has a meeting to talk about what happened to Richard, and they decide to elect a new chief officer. Christopher is elected as the new chief officer, and he starts working on repairing the damages caused by the fire in the transmitter. They plan to check the surveillance footage to find out what happened to Richard. Stella is asked to destroy Richard's personal archive, but she shows it to Christopher instead. They find videos of Richard talking about his beliefs in the mission and his care for the crew. Christopher finds the crew in the cantina, where they are angry that they are not at their posts. Zach explains that they are repairing the refrigerators to save the food from going bad. The crew finds out that the blue liquid they are drinking is actually drugging them so they don't reproduce and overpopulate the ship. Zach and Julie seem attracted to each other, and the crew has a feast to celebrate their new chief officer. Later, they play fight and have fun around the ship while looking through Richard's personal archive. However, when Christopher finds out that Zach might harm Sela, he follows him to the med bay. Sela, mistaking Christopher's intentions, threatens him with a scalpel, but he explains that he's there to help. Sela asks him to help the rest of the crew, who are getting out of control. Christopher warns Zach to stay away from Sela, and they hear the strange crackling noise again. The crew hears a strange noise and follows it around the ship. Kai gets angry when he sees Julie getting close to another crew member, and they fight. Christopher tries to stop the fighting and tells the crew to continue repairing the ship. Zach challenges Christopher's leadership and tries to convince the crew to join his group to fight the alien. Some crew members are scared to work in the systems room because they think the alien is there. Zach and some of the crew members don't trust Christopher's leadership anymore and want to find and fight the alien. Christopher and his loyal crew members try to fix the surveillance system to see if the alien is there. Zach and Kai go inside the room, but Christopher has already been there. Something happens inside the room, and Zach and Kai run out and seal the room. They lie to the others, saying that the alien attacked them. Later, Christopher and a few others discover footage from the systems room that shows Zack and Kai killing Richard and lying about the alien. They keep this information to themselves and hide the surveillance drive. Christopher and Sela discuss Zack's behavior and sleep together. The next day, Zack and Kai invite Christopher and Sela to another celebration, and both groups meet up in the cantina. Zack declares himself the new leader while they're having food together. Christopher shows everyone the footage of Richard's death and reveals that Zack was responsible. Zack explains that he did it to protect the crew from the alien that Christopher brought on board, and convinces everyone that the alien is hiding on the ship in one of them. Zack's group starts searching for the alien and they start fighting among themselves, eventually killing a crewman. Christopher takes his group to a secure place on the ship, while Zack's group arms themselves with hidden weapons. Some of Christopher's group want to join Zack's group to fight back because Zack's group has weapons, but Christopher knows where the weapons are hidden and go to retrieve them. While he's inside the compartment, the others take it apart and find the weapons. Two people from Christopher's group decide to join Zack's group. Zack wants to find the others who are hiding. Sela, Phoebe, and Christopher make a plan to get close to Zack. Christopher suggests killing him, but Phoebe doesn't agree. They turn off the power and hide in a room, but Zack's group finds them. Sela talks to Zack alone and asks to join his group, but he rejects her. Suddenly, Kai kills Phoebe. Zack goes after Christopher and Sela, and they escape and hide in a vent. Zack and his group hunt for them, and they hide again. They find a man in the med bay and accidentally kill him. Zack shoots at them as they run away. They get into an airlock, and Christopher tells Sela to get into a spacesuit. He covers the window of the airlock when Zack reaches it. Zack shoots without thinking and accidentally opens the hatch to space. He grabs Sela and they fight, causing Sela to get stabbed. Christopher pushes Zack outside but gets sucked out too. Sela waits for Christopher, and they both come back inside. The crew chooses Sela as their new leader and they all work together to repair the ship. The children on the ship grow up together and the older generations look forward to landing on the new planet. 86 years later, the ship lands on the planet and everyone is happy. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more recaps.